What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Welcome back to the vlog. We are still here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and today we are playing a poker session at the Wynn, one of the most beautiful poker rooms in the country. Hopefully we can run good. Stay tuned to see how it goes. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go. Making my way to the 510 must-move game here at the Wynn, buying in for $3,000. In this video, I'm not going to tell you guys the time duration I play each hand. I'm going to tell you guys the hand number instead. Card dead for a while, folding before hand number 21 on the button. We look down at ace-10 offsuit, raised to $40. I make the call, and small blind makes the call as well. Three ways to 7-8 for 2 diamonds. The initial raiser puts out a bet of $120, and I think if he bets smaller, I could float here, but against this sizing, I just make the fold. Our 26th poker hand of the session, we look down at pocket nines, under the gun +1, make it $30, folds all the way back around to the big blind, who makes the call. Heads up, 5-5 deuce 2 clubs. She checks, I bet, and she folds. The very next hand, hand number 27 of our poker session, we look down at ace queen. I bump it up to $30, big blind makes the call. We see a board of ace 10 8 2 hearts. We flop top pair, queen kicker. When he checks to me, I decide to check this one back. The turn is a 4, he checks again. Now I want to start going for value. I bet $50. I'm hoping my check back on the flop will maybe induce him to bluff or potentially call me down later. He ends up making the call, so we're going to the river, which is another 4, a great run out for us. He checks to me a third time, and I think I should be going for a smaller size bet here to get hero called by a 10 or an 8, but I decide to go for a polarized bet sizing of $220, and I don't really like it. He hasn't shown much strength in the hand so far, so I think I should be betting something more like $100 or $80, but I bet, and he very quickly makes the fold. Moving on to the 35th hand of our poker session, under the gun straddles to 20. I have ace queen again, under the gun +1. I make it $60. Under the gun +3 re-raises me to $200. The button cold calls $200. I think sometimes I could be putting in a 4-bet here to try to squeeze out this dead money, but given the fact that I raised from early position and a player re-raised me, he probably has a pretty strong hand, so I just make the call, looking to see a flop. 3 ways to a flop and a 3-bet pot, which comes out queen, jack, 4. We flop top pair, top kicker. This could be worrisome here if my opponent has pocket jacks, pocket kings, and pocket aces, all hands that he may 3-bet pre-flop. I may have to proceed with caution here. I check. Initial raiser bets $220. The button folds, and I have a very standard call. I don't think raising on this board is good. It's just going to fold out all of his bluffs, and he's probably only going to call me with hands I'm losing to. So I make the call, going to the turn, which is another queen, now giving us trips. This is a very interesting card. If he has aces or kings, he's probably going to check this one back. If he has ace king, I don't see him continuing to bluff on this card. So I decide to lead out here. Small, I bet $260. I lead small on this turn card, trying to keep his calling range very wide. He's not going to be able to fold aces or kings versus his sizing. I don't think he's going to be able to fold ace king, ace jack, or ace 10 either. So he thinks for a while and ends up putting in the call, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to the river in a pretty sizable pot, $1,600 in the middle, which is a 6, a brick. A great card for us. Let's say I was semi-bluffing on the turn with a hand like king 10 of spades or ace 10 of spades. I'd want to go big on this river card, trying to put a lot of pressure on all of his one pair hands. I glance over at a stack with about $1,300 left. I feel like if I'm going to go big with my bluffs, I got to go big when I actually have it. So I rip it all in here, putting my opponent to the test for the rest of his chips. Queen. He eventually puts in the call. I show ace queen for trips with an ace kicker, and he flashes me his hand, what looks like king queen offsuit for trip queens with a king kicker. I'm actually surprised he thought about it for that long. I'm pretty sure I would just snap call that hand, but we end up coolering this guy and taking down a pretty massive pot, our 35th hand of the night. After this hand, we get moved over to the main game table where they're doing $20 under the gun straddle, so the game has been bumped. I look around the table and everyone has a ton of money, $10,000, $15,000 stacks. This game just got huge. 54th hand of the session, we look down at pocket aces in the big blind. Folds to the small blind, who raises to $100. I decide to 3-bet here to $300. The straddler thinks for a little bit of time, but ultimately decides to fold. The small blind makes the call. The small blind has around $10,000 in a stack. I have a little over $5,000. We could be playing a massive pot here. Heads up, queen, queen, ace. We flop a full house. A great board for us, but it is going to be hard to get some value. Let's say the flop was ace 4-4 or ace 5-5. I would probably just check this one back, but given the fact that there are some gut shot straight draws and people love to play queen X hands like queen 10 suited, queen jack suited, king queen suited, I decide to bet small here, $150. My opponent unfortunately has had enough. He makes the fold. We take down the pot. Before we move on to the next hand, I want you guys to smash that like button. My goal is to get 4,000 likes on this video. It really helps grow the channel. Unfortunately, we are super card dead. Hand number 71, we fold. 74, we pick up trash and make the fold. Hand number 85, another trash hand, make the fold before finally we pick up a playable hand. There is a double straddle on in this hand, so the blinds are 5, 10, 20, 40. I open up ace 10 offsuit in the hijack to $150 before the small blind puts in a 3-bet to $500. My hand is not worthy of a call, so I end up letting it go, and my opponent shows ace king offsuit. Looking around the table, it is full of all tough professional players with a lot more money on the table than me. I have to listen to my own advice. If the game is not good, I have to table select better and try to find a different game, so I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage and cashing out, and moving on to the Bellagio, where I buy in for $1,500. The game looks much softer. Let's get into the action. Our third hand of the session over here at the Bellagio, we get dealt ace queen offsuit on the button. I raise to $30. The big blind 3-bets me to $90. He has about $1,500 left in his stack. He looks like a recreational player looking to have some fun and mix it up, so I think a call here is fine in position, which is what I do. We end up going heads up to a queen 8-9 rainbow board. We flop top pair, top kicker. The big blind now continues for $70. On this particular board, I'm going to be way ahead or way behind. We're obviously crushed against aces, kings, pocket queens, 8s and 9s, which are all hands he could be 3-betting pre-flop, but if he has ace king, maybe pocket 10s or pocket jacks, he hardly has any outs, so I just make the call here, in position, looking to evaluate on the turn, which is an ace, giving us top 2 pair. The big blind does decide to continue to bet for $150. I would assume that he'd be checking here with his pocket 10s, his jacks, his queen X, and his pocket kings. So when he does continue to bet on this ace turn card, he's representing a pretty narrow range of basically aces, ace king, and some sets. Against that range, I actually think it's pretty thin to put in a raise with 2 pairs, so I decide to make the call, allowing him to potentially bluff on the river if he is bluffing, or value bet a worse hand. The dealer ends up collecting the chips and putting out the river, which is another ace, giving us the nuts. Aces full of queens. Ace queen has been treating us good tonight. We won a massive pot over at the Wynn making trips, and now at the Bellagio, ace queen, we went runner full house for the nuts on the river in a 3-bet pot. The big blind thinks for a little bit of time and decides to check. If the big blind was bluffing on the flop and the turn, it looks like he gave up here on the river, so it doesn't matter what we bet, he's going to be folding out all of his bluffing hands. But if he has a queen X hand, maybe pocket kings, or somehow an ace, I don't think this particular player is going to be folding, so I decide to go big. I make it $600. He makes the snap call. I show ace queen for a full house, and he shows pocket 10s for a second pair. That is no good this time, buddy. We end up taking down a pretty big pot, our third hand over here at the Bellagio. We were looking for a better game full of softer players, and I think we found it over here on table number 31. 28 hands into our session, we look down at pocket jacks. I make it $30 under the gun, end up getting 3 callers, 4 ways to a 10-6-4 all diamond board. The big blind now decides to lead out small for $40. From my experience playing with recreational players, when they lead out on the flop, it's most likely a 1-pair, top pair holding. So given the fact that I do have an overpair multi-way on this board, I feel like a raise is good here. I want to narrow down the field. I don't want to call and allow the other players to call with mediocre hands that could potentially beat me. So I raise it up here to $120, folds back over to the big blind, and he has some news for me. he decides to rip it all in. He shoves all in for $900. So another play that I've seen by recreational players is that they smash the flop and they decide to lead out very small, really trying to induce a raise. And when someone raises, they put in a back raise or go all in. I've seen this a lot at 2-5. So now I have to think to myself, what could this guy be doing this with? Obviously, if he has a flush, he might just want to try to get it all in before another diamond comes out. If we break down his value hands that are going to be doing this, it's all 2 pairs, sets, and flushes, which are all the hands he can have, closing the action in the big blind. If he is bluffing, he's probably bluffing with like the ace of diamonds, maybe with a pair, or possibly the king of diamonds with a pair, which means we're flipping against that hand. So we're basically drawing dead against his value hands, and we're flipping against his bluffs. So in this spot, calling $780 doesn't really seem worth it. So I decide to make the fold, and unfortunately he does not show, so we don't know if we made the right decision or not. My 29th hand at the Bellagio, we're in the big blind with 10-4 offsuit, and we fold. Not playing any interesting spots for a while before our 73rd hand of the night. We have 10-8 offsuit. There's a limp. I check my option in the big blind, so we're 3 ways to a 10-8-9 2-diamond board. We flop 2 pair. I lead out for $20. Only the under the gun +1 limper makes the call. The turn is a jack. Pretty bad card, brings in some straights and some better 2 pairs. I check, and he bets $40. With this price, I'm not going to be folding, so I make the call. We are most likely behind here when this opponent bets this turn card, so we're looking for a 10 or an 8 on the river, which we do not get. It's the 4 of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush. I check, and he instantly checks back. I show my 2 pair, assuming it's probably not good, but he shows 9-6 for a 9, which is not going to beat our 2 pair, and we surprisingly take down this pot. Getting dealt our 82nd hand of the session. King 10 of hearts in the big blind. Under the gun makes it 30. I call heads up to King 9-6. I end up checking it over to him, and he bets super tiny, $20. I feel like I can check raise sometimes on this board. I don't want to allow him to bet super small on the flop and then see a free river, but this time I decide to make the call. The turn is a 10, giving us top 2 pair. I check again, and now he sizes up to $100. Versus this opponent's under the gun range, I think top 2 pair is a mandatory raise. He's going to have a lot of hands that he can call with. King Jack, King Queen, Ace King, pocket aces, possibly Ace Queen of clubs, maybe Ace Jack of spades for massive combo draws, but I have to decide what sizing I want to use. I decided to go $440, looking to shove all brick rivers, but it doesn't come to that. When I raise, he makes a snap fold. We end up taking down this pot, which ends up being our last hand of the night. End up racking up our chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Alright guys, that is it for the poker for this session out here at Red Rock Canyon on a beautiful day with Rogue. Hey. He's just hanging out, sniffing around. As for the poker results, played about 3 hours at the Wynn, one of the nicest poker rooms in the country. I really enjoy playing there. The staff is amazing, super professional. Everything is just really easy and convenient and efficient, but it is one of the toughest 5-10 games in the city. And I think the reason behind that is because it's an uncapped buy-in. Basically, you can buy in for whatever you want, which tends to have all the pros in the city come play at that game because they can buy in for $10,000, $15,000. And yesterday, I had about $5,000 in my stack, and I was definitely one of the worst players at the table. So after 3 hours of sticking it out, I ended up booking a win there of a little over $1,800. Went over to the Bellagio, got right into a big hand with Ace Queen, ended up winning almost a $2,000 pot there, and then a couple more small, medium pots after that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this outro. Beautiful view. And if you did, hit that like. Make sure to subscribe if you're not. And leave a comment. It helps grow the channel as well. But that is it for this one. Until next time, I'll see you.